Okay, well, let me give just a bit of an overview as to how things went down, starting when we arrived in Trieste. I flew in there from Frankfurt, from Toronto, and we came in I think 2 or 3 days early, just because traveling these days is so much more of a pain in the rear end than it was in a couple of years past. But everything went smooth, getting on board, and Costa did a fantastic job hosting us. The cruise line is an Italian cruise line, and their boats were all very, very high end. So the fit and finish of that boat was quite impressive. It's not a huge boat; it was around 100,000-ton boat, which is about half the size of the largest boat sailing right now. But the staff were impeccable. And the sort of the fit and finish, the food, all of those things were all first class. So it was certainly a fantastic experience from that perspective. But what was interesting is meeting people like Richard Maud, who I think all of you probably have heard from at one point or another. Richard's an ambassador in the company. He's the first person that I reached out to sponsor in CFX. But this is someone that I've worked together on projects for about 6 years now in the network marketing space, and I was meeting him for the first time in person on this trip. And there was probably 200 or 300 people that I met for the very first time on the trip, but some of them that I had the chance of to work with for a number of years, certainly at least for the 2.5 years that we all been working together with CFX. But for some of them, a lot longer than that. Some of the Norwegians I'd worked with in 2 or 3 different projects, and many in the UK I'd worked in 2 or 3 different projects. And so it really is, it's one of the blessings when you have those experiences. It reminds you of some of the blessings of the flexibility that network marketing offers us, to be able to park yourself at home and work from your computer, build an international business, be paid as though you're building an international business, and in many cases meet none or very, very few of these people ever face to face. So it was nice to put faces to names and the like. We had on the first night that once we had gotten settled, we had sort of a meet and greet event the very first night. And on the third day, we went to the theater, which was a very nice theater at the front of the boat, probably seated around 500 people. And you'll see highlights. In fact, you might even have a full video released of that theater event, I think, at some point, perhaps during the end of month call. We'll find out very shortly. But that was where I had an opportunity to listen to Edwin and John speak about trading. And I know that's one of the questions that many of you get and have been getting for an awful long time since you've been a part of CFX is CFX really trading? Are they really actually trading, or is this just some pea and shell game? And of course, when you listen to these guys, I mean, I've known for quite a while now how proficient Edwin is at what he does. But it was really nice to listen to John, who's the second in charge when it comes to programming and monitoring EAs, really talk about some of the parameters that they use for their EAs. And I'll share some of the details with you right now. And I spent a lot of time with John over the course of the last roughly 10 days or so. But he talked about currency pairs. First of all, for those of you who have some trading experience, CFX only trades major pairs. Recently, they're only trading major pairs. In my weekly presentations, I talk about them trading major and minor pairs. And the reason for that is these are the highest volume pairs in the Forex market. And so by sticking to major pairs, you're going to have the tightest possible spread, making profit as easy as it possibly can be. Profit is never easy in the Forex market, but they don't trade, by the way, all the major pairs. There's about 8 major pairs, and they're only trading. That's USD versus. So they're only trading a handful of them. Like he felt at some days they would only trade 4 pairs. And by the way, each pair, just so you're clear, has to have their own EA. So there would be one pair that would just trade the USD euro. Well, actually, it's Euro USD is the proper order of that pair. And that would be one of the highest volume pairs in the Forex market. Typically, a day for them would be about 1,000 trades in a day. Although a lot of people have been also asking, why so much consistency in the trade results these days when it never used to be that way when the company first launched. If you recall, or if you were with the company when we first launched, we were seeing trading weeks where we would have an average. I think when I first got involved, a trading week would have an average over 5 days of 2.28%. So 2.28% times 5. And that's considerably higher, obviously, than what we're seeing over the course of a week when we trade now. And he certainly talked about that. One of the things that we were discussing or focusing on in the answer to that question was the amount of money that's being traded now versus the amount of money that was being traded then. And it's grown by such a significant amount, more than tenfold, that first of all, the way the company has to manage the money that the trading has changed dramatically. It's very, very important. And first of all, it's a lot harder to trade larger sums than smaller sums. And you also have to manage risk in a very different way with larger sums than smaller sums. Their max drawdown is 3%. So if they ever lost 3% in a single trading day, that's it. Trading operations are finished. They said that happens to them extremely rarely. And the consistency that we're starting to see now is a byproduct of a couple of things. Much more involved risk management strategies, but also these days, over the past several months especially, but primarily a lot of these strategies were introduced when we were starting to see COVID really turn the markets upside down. And they will set parameters, they'll set their goals for the day. And when they hit those goals, they will stop trading for the day. And for example, we were talking about a couple of trading days during the cruise itself, where they had reached their goals during the beginning of the session they were trading, only the first couple hours into trading, and they stopped trading for the day. And that is a very, very smart strategy when it comes to trading. So you always have goals. You should always have trading goals, and you hit those goals and you're done for the day. Next day starts. If you hit them early, you're done for the day. You don't trade all day long just because you've reached your goals, because the longer you're in the market, the higher your risk grows. And so proportionally, if you're going to manage risk effectively, you're going to have targets, you're going to hit those targets, and you're going to get out of the market. And that's what they've been doing very consistently through the last 18 months to 24 months that we've seen COVID cause disruption to the market. But even when all the volume has returned to the market, they still kept all of those policies and risk management strategies, because every day they're seeing more and more money come in that they have to steward over. And so this is why we're seeing much more consistency now than we were in the beginning. And he said that will continue. However, what we're also going to see, and what Edwin talked about, so when John finished up talking specifically about the EAs, what Edwin came on to talk about, and this is a couple of times I've heard him discuss this now in person, and I sat down one-on-one with him a couple of times as well to discuss the new AI that they're working on now. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the term AI, that simply means artificial intelligence. And the difference between an AI and an EA is that an EA, which of course is abbreviation for expert advisor, is software. It's programmed and programmable software that needs to be monitored on a daily basis, because market conditions always change. And so if your software, it was meant to operate under a certain market condition in the Forex market, and that condition changes, you're not going to be successful. So a lot of time and energy is put into daily monitoring of the EA. And AI has the ability to learn. And so when it makes a bad trade, for example, it checks the parameters around that bad trade and has the ability to make sure that it doesn't make that particular bad trade again. Edwin is putting a lot of time into the current AI, and he said that under current circumstances, it's operating at the capacity roughly of about a 15-year-old. And it said that is increasing very quickly. And they feel that they will be turning that AI on during Q1 of this coming year. What that means for all of us, of course, is more trading gains. How much more trading gains, we don't know yet, but so far all the testing, they're running about $1 million account right now as a test account for that AI, and it's performing incredibly well. So how much it's going to increase our daily earnings. When I asked Edwin, he just smiled and he winked. And so he felt that he couldn't be specific how that would affect each of us on an individual level, percentage wise, but he feels it's going to be significant. So we'll be staying in contact closely, and we'll know what that difference is going to be, of course, because he's going to tell us when they're going to turn it on. So I'm quite excited about that. I spoke with Waskar about it as well. And I said, listen, we need to be very clear with the field when that AI is being turned on, so they can also watch and monitor results and be part of sort of the excitement of that increase, and be very aware of that increase. So that was a cool thing. Then at that particular theater event, Waskar got up and he addressed the stuff that I'm going to talk about right now, which is probably the stuff that's really going to be driving most of the questions that everyone has. And that is with the remarkably overdue withdrawals, that massive delay that we're seeing in withdrawals. I don't want to give any excuses. I'm certainly not going to make any excuses for them, because I'm not the one in charge of withdrawals. If I were, we wouldn't have an issue. Everything would be caught up, and we'd be blasting forward with enthusiasm. So from the time that the company had, what he did, he talked a little bit about the hack recently, because some people were unsure whether that was just an excuse or whether there actually was a hack on the system. And how does that affect withdrawals? Well, when the security team has to manage something like that, all operations, essentially, except for trading operations, have to cease, so that the programmers are in total control of the back office space. No withdrawals are going out from the back office. And so I was able to, after I spoke with Waskar about that, and it wasn't that I was doubting, I certainly wasn't doubting what Waskar was saying, but I wanted to speak with Ron a little bit more, because he's the one who obviously, of course, that owns and runs the security team that was managing that. And he certainly confirmed that that was indeed the case. But remember, the company gets hack attempts constantly. When you consider the amount of attention and the resources the company is stewarding over, there's an awful lot of attacks on the company. It's usually not even worth mentioning. The company manages them typically quite effectively, and there's not a lot of drama around them. But some of them, like this most recent one, whoever's behind them have significant funds, 6 figures or more, and throw an awful lot of time and energy at trying to crack into this security. You've also heard me mention many times there's 4 separate firewalls around the CFX back office, and no one's ever breached the first of those 4. That still stands true. That's the case right now. So it took a while for those guys to complete what they were doing on the security side. Then Waskar jumped aboard. He oversees all of the withdrawals. And so with the essentially zero Wi-Fi over the dates of the cruise, there essentially have been no withdrawals that have been pushed out. Now, we are in Genoa right now because there are 3 President's Club members in the Italian, in the Irish CFX team. And so they flew down with about 40 members and requested a meeting with Waskar and Edwin both. And they hammered them pretty aggressively yesterday and really put it on them in regards to getting withdrawals caught up. And they were essentially speaking for you, and they were speaking for all teams and sitting down with them face to face and saying, listen, we understand that the circumstances happen, but we're too far behind now. There's no more opportunity for delays or excuses. This has to get caught up immediately. And if you all recall, Waskar committed on an end of month call a couple of months ago that they would be getting caught up by the end of Q4. And so the Irish leaders asked if they were still committed to that date, and the company said yes, they were. And so we've got essentially 26 days, roughly, until 27 days until the end of Q4. And we can expect to see our withdrawals caught up between now and that time. So that's something that we all all can look forward to. Let's see, what else would be pressing? YouTube. Why is our YouTube page down? There is there's a team, there's a group on Facebook, an anti-CFX Facebook group. Now, I'm not sure who these people are. I don't know them personally. I'm not sure when and where they developed a hard-on for CFX specifically, or if they're a watchdog against a variety of companies that they think are not legitimate. But they've thrown a wrench in the works of a few different things over the course of the last 2.5 years. And I think that this was a combined effort by that particular group in soliciting and petitioning YouTube to have the CFX YouTube site shut down. So the person who's in charge of that site, of course, has reached out immediately to YouTube to get that rectified. Now, I'm not sure how long that takes to get rectified, but I don't think he will probably get it done before the end of month call. So we'll have room for 1,000 people in the end of month call. And then we're going to have to distribute a recording of that somehow. Perhaps we'll just put it in the message center in the back office. So if it turns out the end of month call is something you're not able to get on and you can't watch the YouTube live because YouTube live channel is down, then just know and make sure you let other people know that we'll probably host maybe on Vimeo or somewhere else and put a link in the message center in the back office for other people to watch that event for the December end of month, which is Monday, this coming Monday. So in maybe a bit more than 48 hours. So Paul, maybe what I'll do is I'll wrap that right there and then we'll start fielding questions.
Great, that's excellent. Thank you for the update. Obviously, it was great to see some of the pictures that you guys took when you were on the cruise, and it obviously would have been great for more people to be there. Unfortunately, the state of the world is still a little warped, unfortunately. So hopefully, by the time next year rolls around and our 3rd anniversary cruise happens, or some other fantastic event, that we'll all be able to go, which is great. I feel especially
it is definitely annoying traveling the way one has to travel right now. So we're looking forward to having another one. It will be for sure in a Caribbean location, and it will be, I think, when a lot of this nonsense passes.
Hallelujah. All right. So one of the questions was this. So will the eventual BTC bear market affect our payouts? Because it will happen eventually, and this individual, along with everybody else, wants to be prepared for that.
Yeah, so that's certainly something that I've discussed with the guys. No, the short answer is no. It won't affect the process at all. And don't forget also, there's plans still, remember, for Visa debit and Visa credit cards. So those are going to be implemented sooner rather than later. And that is going to create an instant payout circumstance for you. So you want to load, $2,000 or $3,000 on a debit card and go pull it out of an ATM. You'll be able to go do that immediately.
Okay. What's the time frame for that? Sometime next year, I would imagine.
Q1. Yeah. It's not too far away.
Okay. And will that essentially be when you say relatively instant, would that mean that as soon as you do a withdrawal, you'll forego the transfer into a Bitcoin wallet? It'll go directly onto a US dollar debit card.
That's right. And so when the action, when a button is pressed, for example, in the back office, then it would simply load the card.
Okay, great. I have 37 messages about when North America is going to be opening up. Do we have any updates on that?
Yeah, I don't have anything I don't have anything that's less than 3 weeks old. I can tell you that the strategy that's going to be used to get that done in the US and Canada is with the attorneys in Vancouver right now. They and their counterparts in the US market, the legal team there, are putting the finishing touches on the strategy that's going to be used to get the market open. So I really like the strategy. I'm excited about it. I can't share, unfortunately, some of the details. I know that would put smiles on faces. I just can't until we really lock down the process.
Great, that's excellent. Any time estimate for the copy trading in a similar vein?
Yeah.
Similar time frame?
Yeah, that's going to be part of that process. So when US and Canada open, that is just so you know, that part of the work that's been done, so there's this master list of work being done, that's now finished. I got on with Edwin and talked about that, and their testing has gone incredibly well. So when the US and Canadian markets open, they will open to that being ready to go for US and Canadian members.
That's fantastic. Questions on the
And by the way, that's when you'll see that AI also roll out as well. It'll all come at the same time.
Okay. Questions on the regulatory front. We obviously, there's obviously been some regulatory bodies that have put out warnings about cash effects. Somebody asking specifically for the Philippines, but I believe there's a lot of markets that we have these in there. I know we had heard some good news previously that some of the warnings are going to be taken down. Do we have an update on that?
Yeah, basically the Philippines market, there's also a very solid law firm there that came recommended to us by the Canadian firm. And they are holding off on one more license that's coming via Panama to then go be part of their meeting with the SEC in the Philippines to have that warning removed. And also, once that's removed in the Philippines, the Canadian attorney feels that they'll get the warnings removed in Canada, and that's just going to start a domino effect and see them start to get removed everywhere.
Fantastic. Another question here is, so will copy trading replace what we have now, or will it be in addition to what we have now?
That's the only thing that I don't have an answer to. I would like to see both available. And the reason is, as we all know, the trading pool model that we have with the trade packs is just so highly profitable for all members that are sharing and building a team.
Great, I would concur.
I mean, I get people contacting me that, you know, they say I've built in network marketing for years, and I've never managed to create an income more than $1,000 or $1,500 a month, and I'm making $80,000 a month in CFX. And I just hear that over and over and over and over and over. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, I would concur. The you know, being involved in a legacy company, a great company for 25 years, my income in the first year in this is, you know, more than 10 times what it was in that company that is still existing, in a great company. So I think from a transitive property, the people that I've talked to that are in this industry and have been for a while, they've just found that the ability to do well or to do better in cash effects is there. And a lot of it is from, and this is more of an education thing, is this from the social credit that they've developed by having good networks that they've created in the past, because the contacts that they have, and they bring that back into CFX, it just seems to people, you know, if you're likable, people are going to join you, and it's a much easier platform to join and to do well at, for sure.
Indeed.
The other question is this: are there going to be any additional trading products?
Yes. Yes, you're going to see a cryptocurrency product. You're going to probably, I would suspect, you're also going to see other opt-in products, and there'll be some things. For example, if you're trading on a $100,000 trade pack, or when you hit a certain specific rank within the company, it's going to open doors for you that you didn't have open to you at earlier pack levels or earlier rank levels.
Cool. There is there's somebody messaging me in the chat about something weird. Here's a good question. You mentioned withdrawals slow to Wasker's lack of access to Wi-Fi. Is there an alternate plan?
Which is, you know, it's a shame. It shouldn't be that obviously, but that's the way it is right now. But he's aware of it. He knows that it was the strategy that was adopted by the company in the early growth phase of the company as a much smaller company, and it's something that certainly needs to be replaced with a more robust, more reliable system.
I would agree. That's fantastic. There's a question here. What is the name of our broker? And I know that we started with EverFX as a broker, but we have many others now just due to the volume that we're doing. I don't know if any of the other ones are public, but we still use EverFX. I know that.
I'm going to share a little bit more with you that that hasn't been shared with anybody.
You
I
want me to
can't get
stop recording?
I can't get to, no, because it would make the recording kind of weird.
Okay. Okay.
So what I'll do instead is I just won't share a lot of details with you.
Yeah.
So my last trip to Panama, remember when Tor from the President's Club brought like about 28 Norwegian leaders with him? And so I shot down for that and met them. And after that, there were a number of business meetings that we had to complete. And one of those was the company gets a lot of solicitation, a lot of really solid higher level banking contacts, individuals that believe that they can offer higher levels of liquidity to the company as the company starts to trade more and more. Those types of things are going to be required anyway. And so what typically would happen, especially with a high level bank, as you can imagine, there would be a request for trade history. Prove to us that you guys know what you're doing and are not just, a dog and pony show. And so what the company will often do under those circumstances is instead they'll say, well, listen, we'll open a brokerage account with you, and we'll turn on one of our EAs, and we'll start trading, let's say, one currency pair with you, and you can watch our performance. And that's how you can monitor our proficiency. And so that's exactly what the process that was started. In fact, it was started the afternoon after that first call, when this bank and these individuals seem to be extremely connected to European banks, extremely well connected. And so I was speaking with both Waskar and Edwin about how their services, first of all, I asked about their services. I wanted to ask two things. I wanted to ask about their services, and I wanted to ask about how our EA was performing in the test. And so the first thing that Edwin was really excited to report, and Waskar as well, was their latency. So their infrastructure and how solid their infrastructure was, so that when the EAs wanted to close trades, for example, those trades were closed instantly, and they weren't disrupted by poor service on the side of the broker. And Edwin, in fact, said it's the fastest that he's ever seen from any of the brokers he's ever dealt with. And so the EA was then able to perform exactly how it wanted to. And then, of course, they talked a little bit about the performance. I asked us, how was the EA performing? Were these guys pleased with the numbers that it was pulling? And he opened his phone and he pulled up a conversation in Telegram with the owner of this platform. And the guy was just going on and on about how excited he was to see how their EA was performing. And he asked right in the chat, he'd said, I'd like to steer some of our own long-term clients into using this software of yours, if that's something that we could discuss. And the Waskar had spoken with the broker about the possibility about that. Maybe not, they could, because obviously their first priority is to all of the CFX members. But the owner of the platform said it's the first time that he's ever felt compelled to ask if he could steer his own clients and their own clients' money into a trading operation from a third party.
Sorry, let me unmute myself. Is there any timeline on KYC? I guess
sorry. That was a very, very long, convoluted question to, I can't tell you the names of the other brokers.
Yeah.
And I rather answer to.
Yeah. Good. Anyway, okay. So the short answer is we're good. It's not just one, it's multiple because of the.
And the list is going to be added to all the time.
KYC in developing countries, I imagine, and all over the place. Where are we at with that?
It will be turned on. I don't know if it'd be Q1 or Q2. It'll be turned back on to get that done.
Okay.
It's going to be a little ways away. And again, it's when they turn it on, it's not going to be don't stress out over it. I mean, you're going to have time to make adjustments if you need to names on certain accounts, etc.
Okay, and there'll be lots of warning about
Yeah,
that.
lots of time.
So here's a question. I probably know the answer to this. Can the performance of the EAs be released or downloaded? And this will create more transparency. I would say that that would be something that's proprietary.
No, I got better news than that for you. And by the way, Paul, when you get a sec, could you also unmute Michael so that he can on and share a few things and maybe fire a couple of questions he has away as well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what he's named as. So, Michael, if you want to just text me that. And there's a question about again the brokers why. Yeah, so go ahead. Okay.
So what was the last question that you had? The last question you had? Oh, it was in regards to reporting results. Yeah, because right now,
well,
and this is, I understand where the questions come from. I understand, the critics and the cynics out there that may believe that there's no trading going on, and the reason for that, of course, is those same cynics. Have been part of multiple platforms where there was no trading going on, or they were part of a cryptocurrency platform where there was trading going on, but because of cryptocurrency market cap, the company, as the membership grew, could no longer trade enough to be profitable for all members. So there's a variety of circumstances that can happen behind the scenes that can create problems in performance for the field. But so I understand where the fear from the cynics is coming from. And then when they only see a compiled result at the end of every trading day, Monday to Friday, they can jump to all kinds of different conclusions. The answer, though, is yes, absolutely. You will see all trading results for every trade that your capital is involved in when that's launched for phase 2.
Great. Yeah. So that's going to be something that we're going to see in the future.
So right in your back office, for example, you'll see, or if you open a brokerage account, you'll see, for example, if there's 1,000 trades for Monday, you'll see all 1,000 trades. You'll see every entry point, every exit point. You'll see which currency pairs were traded, whether it was a winner or loser, how many pips were won or lost, everything.
Yeah, great. So and I would confirm, like when I concur, because we were beta testing the copy trading earlier this year, and it was excellent because we could see every single trade that was happening in our account, and it was a good beta test. And I know that they're still beta testing with another group of people, so it's pretty exciting.
I will tell you, though, just so you know, that there's going to be another technology used, I think, instead of copy, but it operates exactly the same way. It just has a much better, there's a much more smooth transition for all members being involved. All members are getting results. On the tech side, it makes it much easier. I can't get into specifics with you because the guys wouldn't want me to share any specifics, but members are going to be extremely happy with it.
Brilliant. Okay. There's another question about KYC, and this may need to be sorted out later. Some of the people in developing countries don't have utilities and accounts in their name, only ID. So will be different requirements, or they'll.
Yeah, that's why KYC was primarily shut off. So it was so that the company could KYC everyone at the same time, and they need to modify some of the fields, for some of those developing countries. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Michael is now available. He is, if you want to have some words of wisdom from him.
Yeah. Hey, dude.
Hi, Johnny. Thanks a lot for
you?
taking the time. Wow, things are going well here.
Good.
I'd like you just to expound a little bit more upon, I think for the benefit of most of the people on this call who would be in Canada. Welcome to our Australians as well. We've got a great team there that we know and love. But maybe you could give us a little bit more explanation or detail vis-a-vis the length of time it's taking for the licensing and registration in Canada, and why this is so important. Every time you're paying a lawyer, it's this is the cynical me speaking, but it's very detailed. But these things have to happen correctly, and it has to happen correctly the first time. And then two-part sort of question here. Maybe you could also expound on how it's a lot easier for the company ownership and management to have such a sense of confidence in what they're doing as opposed to the people in the field, and maybe a little bit of a disconnect between newer members that don't have 2 years experience of great returns and wonderful experiences with CFX, and the way the company is maybe can't see the forest for the trees on that.
Sure. Okay. So in regards to all of the legal work first, one of the reasons for the lengthy process, and you really hit the nail right on the head when you talked about anytime you're working with lawyers, is that both the Canadian and the U.S. markets are the strictest, the hardest markets to open and offer the type of product and service that we offer. And so this is why the focus was to spend the money with Canadian American attorneys and get the work done here, because once, although it takes longer here for that process to take place, once it happens here, there is a process where other green zone countries, these are largely the developed world, wealthier countries, will just automatically accept the structure, the way the work was done on the US and the Canadian side. Canada especially is very, very difficult to have a platform like this operate, which is why you largely never see them in Canada. And so that definitely takes longer. The team of lawyers in Canada are they're awesome. They're tough to deal with, and they certainly cover all the bases. They're just annoying when we're on calls, and they say, well, listen, you can't do that this way and you can't do that way because this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and so you're going to have to change this completely, and this approach will work and that approach won't work. And so there's definitely a determination to keep all of the benefits of the rewards plan while making the model compliant for the US and the Canadian market. So there's a lot of back and forth going on to make sure that we can continue to be who we are, which is, in my opinion, one of the most profitable platforms, most profitable compensation structures, keeping all of that intact while making sure that we also will be effective on the compliance side. So then we'll see, of course, a nice fast track of that being accepted in other green zone countries. And then certainly from there, of course, yellow and red will be easy to be compliant in after we get the difficult green countries done. Now, what was the second part of your question, Michael? It was pertaining to newer members and the forest for the trees.
Oh, I'll ask him to unmute again. He must have muted himself. There you go. Okay, Michael, you're back.
Yeah, it was just if you could maybe address the, it's very easy for us as people who've been in CFX for some time, and even much easier for the corporate ownership to have confidence in CFX. It's harder for newer members that have only been around for a few months and going through the challenges of scaling and growth, which ultimately is the biggest reason why CFX is having to iron out any wrinkles. If we were only at 30,000 members as opposed to 330,000 members, we wouldn't be having any issues that we're having currently. But I think that if you could just speak about why it's harder for the company to maybe put themselves in the shoes of a new member when they have absolute confidence in their abilities to deliver. I think that could help some people understand a little bit better.
Yeah, I think, Michael, also one of the other things that maybe is worth mentioning is, when the company was an infant, there was a certain amount of time from everyone on the management team they were dedicating to getting on Zoom calls with all kinds of, I don't know how many times you guys, you too, you and Paul have been on calls with Ron, been on calls with Oscar, been on calls with Edwin and other members of the corporate team. And as they continue to grow and have more responsibility, building infrastructure so they can accept 300,000 members and beyond. And I will tell you, just in case the question comes up, the company is working hard to make sure that their infrastructure is in place so that they could grow to be on 1 million members. So we can continue to grow and you can continue adding to your teams and continue adding to your income. So you're right, there is definitely a loss of the sense of intimacy that a smaller company can bring to the field when ownership gets pulled away to the important priorities and making sure the company can scale as quickly as possible to service bigger and bigger numbers of people. But I think that and that's one of the reasons, by the way, Waskar really is so fully committed to and really gets a lot of joy out of those end of month calls. So people have an opportunity to hear from him, even if they can't on a one-on-one or a small group call. I think, though, a couple of things that may assist first of all, as the company launches that second phase and all of those pieces get plugged in and turned on, then there will be an opportunity for a lot more of a focus on live events. In fact, there are live events that are tentatively planned, being firmed up right now for the United Kingdom, for Austria, for the Scandinavian countries and other locations in Europe and other locations in other parts of the world. This was always meant to be the way. When I talked with Waskar in the very beginning, he wanted a live events company. He wanted to be able to shake hands with people and see the field as a group all around the world and give opportunities for those members to rub shoulders with each other and talk about their successes and talk about their challenges and be able to grow as a group together.
Oh, and there's Michael. I'm going to ask him to unmute again. Stay unmuted, buddy. Michael, you're up.
Thank you, Paul. We could never do any of this without you. Thank you so much.
Just want to let everybody know that Michael Rivard is actually my upline director. He is the I guess he would be the filling in between John Kinnear and I at the director and above level. So anyway, Michael, appreciate you very much. Your
He's the banana and your peanut butter and banana sandwich.
There you go.
I'm of course very uncomfortable with all of these analogies, and that notwithstanding, you're awesome, Paul. You're an absolutely fantastic leader, and if Caroline didn't exist, you would be my favorite.
Okay, yeah, no, I appreciate that. Caroline's a little easier on the eyes than I am. Anyway, how is the a couple more questions, and I just want to reiterate one thing. I had sometimes you shake your head. I had somebody on who was in my organization who he may be on the call, but I'm not gonna name who he is, and he told me about this great thing. And makedealsfast.com, and he said, yeah, like they pay out every single day, and the more you put in, the more you pay. And I said, right, like he sent me this message kind of inviting me, and I said, oh dude, you absolutely do not want to do this. Like this is a terrible idea. He said, dude, I already did it. And like you really, and then like a week later he said, you should put some more money in. I said, dude, I don't want to be that like that guy who has to explain to a bunch of people. Well, sure enough, the website's not working anymore, and he hasn't called me, and I feel super bad for him because he lost a ton of money. He said, yeah, but I put in 17,000 and they paid me 6,000 back so fast. Well, they still have your other 13,000, dude, or 11,000. So you got to feel bad for people who make choices like that. So anyway, one of the other things too, just to reiterate, CashFX made the tough decision earlier this year that they were going to cease registrations in Canada. And there was so much growth in my organization and in John's organizations, Michael's organization, to sit there and say, why would the company do that? Well, the reason that they would do that is strictly to protect us and to protect our interests. If they were not concerned about protecting us, they would say, come on, and from everybody, like, let's open up the US. Let's not worry about what any SEC would say, because we are not here for the long term. But in fact, we are here for the long term. And that's why these things happen. And as one of my team members said, you know what? They were paying every single day. I'd request the money and I'd get it within 24 hours. Well, that's because there's not really any trading going on. And because there's actual trading going on, there's challenges. The company that I've been with for 26 years, we just did a call with them. And in our 30th year, we're going to do $1.18 billion in sales. That's massive in the network marketing industry, massive. Do you realize that in less than 2.5 years, we are on track to do probably $1.5 billion in the next 12 months? It's absolutely astronomical. And I can't imagine the challenge or the headache that it would be to manage that kind of growth. So that's, again, that's just fantastic. Okay, that's my rant, is customer support. Question is,
Ron Pope's team does a great job. There's no doubt about it.
It's incredible, man.
And the Canadian market was shut down to protect members, 100% for certain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Paul, I'm kind of glad you brought that up. I mean, I have several team members that are fairly close to me that have, popped 10 grand or 20 grand into something else, and they never discussed it with me before they did. Well, I mean, they certainly don't need my permission to do anything, but ill-advised. The great thing about CFX is that we do have, I was in a meeting a little while ago, we were joking, and I said that we have a unicorn. We have, extremely well-capitalized ownership that has put together a platform that is so unique. And my team member corrected me. He said, we don't have a unicorn, we have a Sasquatch riding a unicorn. It is extremely rare that you're going to be able to have this type of company with all of its reach and capability. And we are going to have issues scaling without question, but they'll meet them. They have the fortitude and the will and the money to take care of these wrinkles that we have to iron out. So I hope all team members can take a real look at alternate programs and don't let the greed button get the better of them. They're not even vetting things. A fool and his money are soon parted. But we're very lucky. And I just want to say right now, we have to thank John Kinnear. None of us would be here right now if it wasn't for John. And the amount of work I see you going through day in and day out tirelessly. I mean, I owe you so much, John, and the whole team.
No, I get tired.
Exactly. Yeah, you've done a great job. So I'm going to mute myself and thank John and thank Paul, both great leaders. Keep it up, please.
Great.
Thank you.
Couple of other questions here, which I think are pertinent. The update to the CFX Academy. Do we have a timeline for that as well?
Yeah, it's certainly gonna be sooner rather than later. And I know that's not a specific, but that's probably one of the topics that we're discussing the most. Just getting those 150 videos loaded into the infrastructure that we have now, I think, and then allow the other programming team to finish developing all the special stuff they want, so that we're not holding it up a day longer than we need to be. I think that we'll probably see that go down over the next maybe 6 to 8 weeks, I would guess. It'll be quite soon. I'm pretty confident of that. Not the final product, but at least it'll be, the curriculum will be there and fulfilling one of the promises that the company made a long time ago. And then we will really start to flesh out the full power of, I think, what's going to be a really exciting university or academy product moving forward.
Great. I'm super excited. So it's going to be great. For any future live events, can they provide more planning and timelines to attend the events? Most people can't not just take off with a month's notice. Things like cruises should be planned for a year out.
A month's notice.
Amen.
That was being very generous by whoever asked that question. I don't think there was a month's notice.
Take off with a month's notice. Exactly. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, the answer is yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ari Waskar's amazing wife.
We have temporarily lost Mr. Kinnear. We missed that last part, John. We missed the last 15 seconds.
Okay, I said, yeah, moving forward, there definitely will be more notice moving forward. Ari's amazing, absolutely amazing all the work she does, and she's very, very good at it. So yeah, I think that she would be the one that probably sends a big hug to the person who asked that question. Yes, please give us more notice. I'm sure that she's screaming right now at the top of her lungs.
Okay. There's just a comment of, is customer support going to be extended to cover the global customer base rather than just covering the US time zone? And I don't know if that's actually the case.
No, it's not the case.
No.
They spread them out. And by the way, for those of you, if anyone has asked for an email address change or a 2FA reset, or one of the most common things that they're typically working on, they've become really, really good at managing those things. Of course, the financial tickets, they can't. That's just not their domain. And the company still continues to work to try to get all of those outstanding finance. Paul, I know you have a bunch that are still unresolved, but they're chipping through them, and they're continued to stay dedicated to getting them all cleaned up. So one day we'll see that happen. One amazing day, another Sasquatch going by on a unicorn.
Oh my goodness, on a My Pretty Pony. Here's a comment here. I was told that the academy was going to be approved by a government. If yes, which government? I'm assuming that's going to be Panama.
Yeah, Panamanian authorities. And in fact, when we had the ribbon cutting ceremony for the office, representatives from that division were actually in the ribbon cutting ceremony event. So I actually had the chance to sit down and talk with them in a little more detail about the academy. So the answer is yes. That was something that was promised, and yes, the company is delivering on that.
Good. I think one of the questions here again, and you can just pass them on. This is regarding communications, that they need to be better on it, and I would agree on that. And I think
let me add a little bit to that, because I think if we were right now at 0 weeks on our withdrawals, you put a withdrawal in 24 hours, your money was in your wallet, I don't think anyone would be asking for more communication. I think that, like some of those platforms that you mentioned, your friend threw $17,000 into, they never see the ownership at all. They never hear from the owner group at all. They're just getting pre-written emails blasted off to them, and nothing more than that. I think that hearing from the owners once a month on a Zoom call, a live Zoom call, is more than enough communication if everything's working perfectly. So while under these unusual circumstances that have been frustrating for everyone, more communication would definitely be important. I don't think more communication is required if they get caught up in all these things.
Okay. I agree. Once the withdrawals, like people will be concerned less.
Yeah, they're asking for more communication because they're frustrated. I know that, and they know, the company knows that as well. Yeah.
Somebody's sending me a message here on Telegram as well. I don't say, okay. On the topic of customer support, is there any chance that customer service can be delivered via an 800 line?
I would doubt that. Yeah, but I think that there is definitely an interest, and maybe even a a commitment on the company to have live chat. We want to have live chat once they are really adept at managing a long list of things, so that if you've got an issue, by the time you hang up that live chat, the issue has been resolved.
Yeah, that's good. Amen and hallelujah. Even, like a Telegram group just for customer support. There's
That
other
would be a
options.
nightmare.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare. Because everyone would be in there.
That's true. Yeah. I've got a problem. My hair's out of place. Well, that's not where we talk. The same with the teams, and okay, here was a quick mention to the growth. Quick mention to the growth as a whole and keeping new members. Feel like there's actually something here. This is just a comment. Yeah, the growth is incredible. So I'm this is coming in a couple places. So I think that's pretty much it for questions that I see here.
Well, we'll have the end of month again in a couple of days, and what we can do is over the holidays, let's do this again, because we should be able to monitor how they're all getting caught up in the withdrawals.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good time where it helps just about every market go on, which is great. The one question, oh my goodness, this is perfect. I'm just gonna post this picture here. Somebody just managed to send here, so everybody gonna like this. Everybody see that? John, do you see it?
Nice shot.
Nice shot. I think we'll have that as
That's a real photograph, isn't it?
That's live. I think that was in somebody's backyard.
Yeah, that's a nice camera, because usually if you have something in front of the moon, it would just be a silhouette. So
yeah, I know.
Obviously, that's a really good camera they use.
Big flash. Thank you, thank you to Nick for that. So here's a question. Is there going to be here's another question. Is there going to be a concession for a lot of people that due to the withdrawal delays, they have allowed their accounts to expire, which of course has affected this individual's business significantly. And I'm definitely aware of this. Do you think that there would be an opportunity perhaps that earlier?
We've talked about this. Yeah, we've talked about a time, and I think that maybe a reasonable time to do this would be when the second phase is rolling out, to give members an opportunity to come back in at lower trade packs, because obviously they were withdrawing and they were spending those funds on something. Maybe they work themselves up to a 30K pack and they don't have 30K that's just quickly accessible to start with the platform again, so they could come back in at a much lower level. Yep, we've absolutely talked about that, and I would be willing to bet that actually happens.
What about the possibility of having somebody having the ability to upgrade again instead of having to renew? So somebody's at a 7K and they want to go up to a 10. This is a suggestion and maybe a dream, but a 7 to a 10 as opposed to having to start again at a 7 or a 5 or a 3, because all their money is still in the trading pool.
Yeah, we could look at that.
Okay, good. Not going to hold you to that, but I think that's a great idea.
Sure, we can look at that for sure.
Again, that would be definitely very helpful. So what I'm going to do right now is before everybody goes, what I will do is I will just turn off, if you want to make any final comments, I'm going to turn off the recording. I did have one, I had one quasi-brilliant thing to say, but I forgot what it was. So I'm just going to turn off the recording. Thank you very much. So we're going to pass this recording on we're going to make it available. We'll post the link out and let people see that. So, and then if you want to stick around, if John has some more comments, we'll do that. So thank you, everybody. And thank you, John.
You bet, bud.